Welcome back. Let's now move on to matters politics. And the division within the Wiper Party continued to widen, with the Yatta Member of Parliament Francis Mwangangi calling on the party leader Kalonzo Musyoka to stop dictatorial tendencies and embrace democracy within the party. The legislator criticized the party leadership for sacking those holding divergent views and told the party leader Kalonzo Musyoka to give leadership to the party.
Vyama vya kisiasa lazima ziheshimiane. Muungano is a political entity like any other. Na si ati ni junior ya ingine hapa. Sawa sawa. Kwanza hapa kuna watu wa hiyo ingine tunazungumzia. Kuna hiyo ya bwana katikati Melon. Hapa iko mtu. Yes. So ikiwa iliisha, si afadhali hii mnaweza hata iita muungano. And if the Kamba community decides ni Mwangangi ama ni Gavana Mutua, so be it. Sawa sawa. Hakuna mahali tuliitwa kama Kamba community kumaanisha ati tuchague kiongozi wa jamii. Hakuna. The leaders we have been having from this region, wao wamekuwa wakiwauza na wanaweka kwa mifuko. Afadhali mimi na wauza na waletea ziranga.
So now move on to matters agriculture, and we go to further afield to Ivory Coast, which has gone from being a minor player in the cashew nut market to become the world's largest exporter in just over a decade. This at a time when investors are worried by the dominance of India and Vietnam are showing interest in diversifying supply and making Africa the choice location for new processing facilities. And according to the African Cashew Alliance, a 25% increase in raw cashew nut processing in Africa would generate close to 9 billion shillings in household income.
40 years ago, Henry Kwaku was struggling to support his family, farming a small plot outside Bonduku, a dusty town in northeastern Ivory Coast, when he first learned that money did in fact grow on trees, cashew trees. By his own reckoning, Kwaku, among the earliest pioneers of the Ivorian cashew sector, is nearly 100 years old. He's seen the nuts, initially planted in the 1970s to combat desertification, emerge as an important cash crop for the West African nation's impoverished north.
I was growing yams back then and wasn't earning enough. I had people talking about a new tree you could make money growing.
With output growing by over 10% annually, attracting the attention of a government desperate to jumpstart its economy after a decade of war and political chaos, Kwaku will likely live to see his country dominate the world market. Even a decade ago, Ivory Coast was a middling producer, growing around 80,000 tons of raw cashews per year. But last year, output had jumped to around 500,000 tons, making it the world's top exporter and second to India in overall production.
For the pessimistic African, I think the cashew sector is in the process of demonstrating that, especially in Ivory Coast. In 15 years, this has become a major industry. There is a lot of potential. The potential is huge in the cashew sector.
According to Malamine Sanogo, the managing director of the sector's marketing board of the Cotton and Cashew Council, Ivory Coast has hardly scratched the surface of the enormous potential. About 95% of Ivorian output is exported raw to India and Vietnam for processing. Sanogo says that work should be done in Ivory Coast by Ivorian workers. According to a study carried out by the CCA, every 100,000 tons of processing capacity Ivory Coast develops will create 12,300 factory jobs and another 10,000 jobs elsewhere in the sector.
We think that with processing we will create many jobs and we will create lots of added value for the country.
At the processing factory run by Singapore-based soft commodities trader Olam International, workers pack bags of cashew nuts ready for sale. The plant and the second smaller facility employ around 3,500 workers with capacity to produce 40,000 tons. Within the next 5 years, CCA wants 35% of Ivory Coast's raw cashew output processed locally. If it can pull it off, Ivory Coast would be the first African nation to build a large-scale cashew nut processing sector as a panacea for unemployment, a problem plaguing countries across the continent. Many in the business remain cautiously optimistic, though. They have long been at the mercy of volatile, unregulated prices.
If the government could raise the price to 450 CFA franc, I would retire right now. I would be at home with enough money to eat and feed my entire family.
Promoting cashew nut consumption in Ivory Coast and neighboring countries is one possibility. But even supporters of this strategy admit it will take time with no guarantee of success.
Now, the funeral service for Governor Isaac Ruto's daughter, Emily Ruto, was held this morning at the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Nairobi. Emily died on the 24th this month while undergoing cancer medication. At the time of her death, she was the national captain for women's cricket team, and she was fondly referred to as Chep Cricket by her teammates. Emily was also an electrical engineer. The requiem mass was attended by several political leaders. May she rest in peace.
Yeah, the cricket fraternity has also lost a very good player.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, in the world of sports this afternoon, it's a bumper sports bulletin. We have an update on the